Really good to see you. Thanks for
Listen, you, well, you can work out there now. One way or the other. We've got better talk to you now on Cosford Air Show. Until then, just final and runway. Just a quick traffic update for you. It is looking very busy as you would expect as you make your way towards RAF Cosford this morning. We have got quite a lot of traffic queuing in for westbound. You want to actually move into the RAF Cosford site. It's just purely the amount of traffic that's trying to get into the airfield site at the moment. Teams on the gates are trying to get you in as quickly as possible, but keep your patience if you are.
Hey! Oh yeah! Our first air show, and thank you for joining us. This is going to be all the highlights from the Ted Coningsby's first ever air show, and we're at RAF Cosford.
It's Cosford FM with you alright?
Yeah, well, over the Cosford Air Show for 2022, we are getting close to handing over to our commentary.
Trust me, all the hard work is now over. All you need to do now is sit back and enjoy the entertainment we have lined up for you through the rest of this morning and through the afternoon. My name is Andrew Halsey. I'm part of the commentary team, and we are lucky enough to have the want you to have a great afternoon, a really memorable afternoon. I always remember air shows as being really special experiences. We don't want any disruptions, so we're with you. And to help you with that, there are a number of rendezvous points around the showground. One of them is by the RAF zone. There's another one next to car park 4. Commemoration is throughout Cosford today, and a little bit of research has turned up some interesting facts and figures that when you consider all the Royal Air Force and the Fleet Air Arm aircraft that were involved, all the aircraft types, they are all represented today, either on the airfield. So yes, they sneaked in about 10 minutes ago, 3 Junos from RAF Shortbury, bringing in a very special team who are just walking in front of the commentary position right now. That is, of course, the Royal Air Force Air Display Team, the Red Arrow. We'll be displaying for you later on this afternoon. Here at Cosford we had just over a kilometre of runway, which is pretty small in runway terms, certainly small if we're talking about jet aircraft operations. So our jet aircraft are located at other airfields, mainly RAF Shortbury, not that far away. We have one aircraft operating at RAF Andrew Goodwin, who is the display team. Adam, tell me what he's going to do. They're looking at one actual Falcons replacement in that match. We have to hand over to the Falcons about 12 o'clock for their drop. So what you're going to see is the aircraft go up, do the early prep work for that drop. The Falcons are busy at work on the ground as well, getting in position on the drop zone, and you'll hear more about that shortly. The aircraft's going to climb up to about 5,000 feet or so and start that early prep. And then about 12 o'clock, you'll see the boys exit by the ramp and make their return to the terrace hill. So we're getting a double dose of salute as well, which is always delightful. Andy, let me ask you, Bravo November is here at the RAF Museum at Cosford, a very special helicopter, and it's important to emphasize. So if you're tracking them on the sky, they're over on the right-hand side now. smoke canisters, igniting, which are attached to their boots, and give you the visual clue of their formation on the way down. So for 2022, we do have a new display, and the team will be working on it over the last few months. Straight away, they'll go into what we call the snake formation. So they're forming a large snake in the sky, one behind the other. It's quite a tricky maneuver because the wind's blowing them around. And as we form up, they'll then turn back 180 degrees up the jump path, and once the coach is happy, he'll call for our signature move, the carousel. Now this is one you want to get the carousel for. This is a new formation for 2022, and visually very effective. Coach is giving instructions to the parachutists to turn around, and they're now manoeuvring their canopy into the carousel manoeuvre. And the carousel is a very, very difficult manoeuvre for the team to perform. They have to stay really tight on each other and ultimate control, and they'll break away into the stage of change. The other two parachutists you can see are our two flag bearers today, and they're flying the Royal Air Force ensign and the Union flag. They will stay clear of the main front to make sure that they can observe the team down onto the ground and follow down with the flag. Come down towards the beach edge. Back into snake formation, they will now go into what they call the duck position. The duck position allows them to land simultaneously onto the drop zone. It's an extremely difficult manoeuvre to do, and it involves a lot of skill and trust in each other to make sure that they fly safely. So they will attempt to do a team landing, one after the other. And as they come in and approach the drop zone, once again, they can hear you, so you give me a cheer. So in order of landing, we'll have Team Coach Flight Sergeant James Brucey, Sergeant Gaz Nicholson, Sergeant Ben Summer, Sergeant Bobby Manari, Sergeant Doug McCall, Sergeant Paddy Gilmore, Corporal Joe Fink, Sergeant Sean McKay, and Sergeant Owen Collins. And finally at the back is Team Boss OT Falcons Flight Lieutenant Stu Philpott. Salute the recipient, and that is...
Oh, thank you.
So remember, whilst that's going on, if you want to find out more about being a member of the RAF Falcons one day, or how you go about joining the team, there's plenty of information here at RAF Cosford today. All of our parachutists once started off as a physical training instructor and will have done their training here at Cosford. So there are plenty of people here that you can ask for information. Also make sure if you've taken any photographs today or movies, we'd love you to share them with us on our social media channels. We've got all the usual Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Just look up the hashtag RAF Falcons or at RAF Falcons, and we'll do our best. It is a bit of a homecoming for the boys as well, so yeah, fantastic.
Maybe John, maybe.
It's not all fun and glamour, is it? There is a lot that goes on in the background. I was lucky enough to spend a season
Kelly's
as a
asking whereabouts.
commentator. Absolutely, because you can imagine there's all the preparation, position in the sky, away from the display area, but close at hand, so they can get ready for their formation flypast.
Yeah, Typhoon's not too far from here, Jim.
So now we are just a few moments away from the next.
the aircraft out to the left-hand side, and he's going to position 30 degrees off the axis, then run back in after a wing over. Now, crucially during this manoeuvre is he makes turns to the left-hand side. He can't see the airfield as he's coming back round, being sat in that right-hand seat. Right? So looking at the airfield and telling Smithy whether he needs to tighten that manoeuvre or slacken it off to make sure he runs back in on axis. And at this point, Smithy will now be visual with the airfield again. Glyn is going to go back to instruments and he's going to make sure that Smithy does not come below the minimum height he's allowed to for the display. And Glyn's eyes are going to go back onto looking at distance to run to trigger the pull-up into a double nose over, what we call the roller coaster. And they're going to jump that pull-up today based on wind, a little bit of wind, but not very much today. So broadly speaking, the distance is won't change too much today for that pull-up. Right out of the aircraft, trying to see the apparent ground speed, that's the speed that he's coming in the ground, drop to zero, and as it's almost at that point, he's pitching the nose forward to make sure that it's coming down again, gathering forward airspeed. Blinny is pattering or talking about his nose up, which they don't want to go past 50 degrees. They're aiming to get 50 degrees, so setting 30 degrees to the left before they come round. This one a little easier, the Schmitty's got good view out to the side. And as they come back in, we're going to see a single nose over, and what we're going to try and do is get you onto the display frequency to hear Blinny providing this commentary to Schmitty. So there's Billy providing that patter to Schmitty, and you can see him changing the intonation in his voice there to make sure as they get closer to the ground he's being almost more aggressive over the intercom to make sure that it's really being digested by Schmitty, who is staying eyes out of the cockpit the entire time. There's no head-up display in this aircraft. There's just Schmitty knowing what height he is. He's making that judgment based on what he sees. See the ramps going down now, and that's the preparation for the crewmen to have their big moment in this display. They're moving around the cabin at different parts of this display, so their movement is very carefully timed to the safest parts of the routine for them to make those moves. You're going to see a 270 turn now going into a quick stop, which is a technique we use to bring the aircraft to a very, very fast stop if we see troops late on the battlefield because they've been under cover or we've been running in a very low level. This quick stop is incredibly difficult to fly, but Schmidt is very well practiced in doing so. And there we go, presenting both discs to the airflow, bringing the aircraft to a stop. And we're now going to go into what we call this, whereas normally we would just have one important display. We've got Sergeant Dr. Morris, got to join the RAF in 2009 as a logistics supplier, was deployed to Afghanistan before becoming aircrew, and he joined all of us on 27th Squadron in 2018. Spent 4 years on Squadron now, and he has already deployed to Mali on board French operation out there, and stand high, also on the very specifically in Bosnia to allow the aircraft to depart from a landing site at the factory valley. There we go, and you can see them turning 360 degrees as they go. The idea there being that the three weapon systems we have aboard the aircraft are rotating constantly, so that if the aircraft was engaged anywhere in that valley, then one of those weapons was going to be able to deal with the threat straight away.
I'm going to use that because you get a chance to do that.
And as they get to the top there, Pitty getting the nose down, left hand turn, 405 degrees of turn to do here in descent, before they run in parallel to the crowd for another wing over prior to that maneuver. Nose stays down, airspeed builds as he goes. Pitty now looking left across the cockpit, across the linear, and coming all the way to find that display gate and that display line again. And then crucially making sure they have 120 knots straight and level. Now, one of the things we can't demonstrate here for you today on this particular display is some of the other capability we have. So underslung loads are a key part of this aircraft's capability, and the three hooks you may have seen on the underside of the aircraft, one of them will be stowed for the display though, are very crucial in that role. Helping us deploy that around the world are the team from the Joint Helicopter Support Squadron, JHSS. This is a good moment for your cameras, especially for those of you towards the display datum. So this aircraft now going to come in for a running landing from the right-hand side. This is a manoeuvre we use if we have had an issue with the aircraft. So if it is power limited, we want to use as little power as possible to land the aircraft. We won't come to the hover. We'll run the aircraft straight onto the ground like this. And again, this is a key moment where both the crewman and the co-pilot are assisting in getting the aircraft configured to this. Back wheel comes down, Pitty brings the side wheel so he controls between his legs back towards it to make sure the front of the aircraft stays in the air, and then reduces power to make sure the back of the aircraft is technically heavier than the front to get that aircraft flowing onto the runway. And as he comes to 0 knots there, you're going to see him do something that we don't practice regularly and is very much part of the display sequence, and that is take this manoeuvre backwards. Now this is not easy to do because of course he is bearing forwards, and he's going to come backwards to the point that he then lifts up prior to 25 knots, and he's going to come back into the hover facing all of you to say one big goodbye to the Chinook Display for 2022 at Cosford. So as he comes into the hover there, I would please ask all of you to wave, let the crew know that you very much appreciated this, if indeed you did.
We didn't know, no one knew. It's brand new. We did a bit of downdraft, but we didn't quite.
And a couple of other mentions as they come up into the hover here. I would like to make mention of our incredible engineering team, led by John and they're going to disappear away. The recent evacuation from Kabul. And alongside Tom in the lead aircraft is Officer Cadet Jamie Thornton, who's an economics student at the University of Birmingham. Those rendezvous points, those meeting points are in the RAF zone next to car park.
Such a beautiful aircraft and such a distinctive configuration with those two radial engines mounted above the fuselage to keep them, of course, out of the water's spray. One side of the Atlantic to the other, but there was a gap in the middle. Amongst others, this was one of those aircraft that filled that gap. Endurance of up to 30 hours and a range of 2,500 miles across the Atlantic, and that made such a big difference. Prior to that, U-boat captains knew they could operate generally with impunity for a while. Clearly, the vessels were kept into convoys, and those convoys were escorted, armed escorts, but the U-boats definitely had the advantage. And then along came the Catalina.
Yeah, you're right, Emil. If you want to battery is at 37%. I have 110 minutes recording available. Roger, and I can do another full one now.
Once the U-boat had been spotted, its position would be radioed back, and generally the aircraft would try and attack that U-boat. The U-boat captain had a choice, could either dive and try and evade. More often than not, they would stay on the surface and fight. The U-boat was certainly very well gunned, and there were some fierce fights. This is not a fast aircraft. And in fact, 2 VCs were awarded to captains of Catalina for courageous. The fact of their being retractable, helping further reduce the drag of the aircraft. And then came, as I mentioned, the further improvement as the rescue role. Designated to commemorate the loss of that particular OA-10A Catalina. And those early air-sea rescue efforts, rescuing down military aircrew during wartime, the forerunners to the much broader air-sea rescue that used to be known now Search and Rescue Service, of which we commemorate 70 years in RAF service here at Cosford today. The Catalina, from plain sailing into land, captained today by Angelo Cunningham, an Irishman with a very broad aviation experience. He spent many years in the commercial aviation world. He's a highly experienced instructor.
As he pulls 5.5 Gs, converts his speed into height, from his first maneuver, quarter clover. David John is known to both as DJ or Gibbo. He was born in Southport and started his career in the Royal Navy in 1996, where he trained to fly the Sea King in the support helicopter role. DJ dived down before he redeemed his airspeed to achieve 1,300 feet, the top of a quarter clover. Operationally, DJ has flown the Sea King in a variety of areas, including Sierra Leone and the Persian Gulf. He's also spent 3 years flying search and rescue missions off the Cornish coast. DJ now rolls 90 degrees while pointing straight up before completing a stall turn at almost 0 airspeed. DJ is now serving in the Royal Air Force, and when not displaying, he's responsible for training qualified military pilots to become instructors on the Grub Tutor. During his varied career, DJ has amassed over 6,000 flying hours on 50 different aircraft types. In his spare time, DJ flies vintage aeroplanes, races powerboats, and drives classic cars. He is also a pension for Michelin-starred restaurants. Today, the Tutor is flown by the Royal Air Force's largest flying school, number 6 Flying Training School. The Tutor is used to tune junior RAF pilots, University Air Squadron students and air cadets being flown on air experience flights around the UK. Displaying the Tutor requires the pilot to be meticulous in his energy management. DJ now uses a wing over to regain as much energy as possible, but his next to do that. The Grub 115E Tutor is operated in partnership with Falcons International Group. It's constructed of a carbon composite material and a 180 horsepower light efficient engine. The Tutor has a top speed of 212 miles an hour, which can achieve a maximum 6 Gs, meaning the DJ is subjected 6 times stronger than gravity. DJ now pulls up into the vertical for another stall turn. Alongside Falcons, the Tutor team is also supported by the Royal Air Force Benevolent Fund. The fund is there to support Royal Air Force personnel, air cadets and veterans when they are in need. We're proud to raise awareness and donations for a charity that gives so much to the Royal Air Force family. As blood will rush to his head. When it comes to air experience flying, there are over 12 flights serving over 1,000 air cadet squadrons nationwide. You can join the air cadets if you're between the ages of 12 and 17 years old. For those of you that are older, there are 15 university air squadrons across the UK, all linked to nearby universities. Students on the university air squadrons are taught to fly the Tutor by highly qualified, experienced voluntary flying instructors. As well as flying, a range of other activities include leadership, sport and adventure training around the world, providing huge opportunity for personal development, embracing the Royal Air Force's core values of respect, integrity, service and excellence. University Air Squadron members are not committed to a military career after graduation, however many do decide to join us. Furthermore, there are sponsorship schemes available to ease the financial burden of military life. NATO and other allies to secure the skies of the United Kingdom 24/7, 365 days a year. Today, the Royal Air Force is expanding and recruiting over 50 rewarding and demanding professions, such as pilots, air traffic controllers, medics, and cyberspace specialists. The Royal Air Force has an exciting future with the arrival of Lightning, Poseidon, Wedgetail, and the newly formed Space Command. DJ will now bring the Tutor down to just 100 feet with this slow pass, so make sure you give him away because he flies through. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, 2022 Royal Air Force Tutor Display!
Well, now we're looking out for the first of our international military contributions at the RAF Cosford Air Show 2022. It's a solo fast jet display that was described last weekend when I saw it at the RAF Flypasts Air Show in France by the illustrious commentator Bernard Chabert as the most beautiful fast jet solo display in a variety of platforms with both the French Air and Space Force and the French Navy. In fact, it superseded no fewer than 7 different types across those two services, in roles including air-to-air, conventional air-to-ground, reconnaissance, anti-shipping strike, nuclear strike, and buddy-buddy refueling. An aeroplane that since 2011 has been proving itself in overseas combat theatres, beginning with its very impressive actions in Libya during 2011, and following that up on deployments to many other overseas territories. An aircraft that's the latest in a long line of delta-winged combat jets from its French manufacturer, at a very significant advance over all of them, with a very distinctive Delta Canard configuration, with the 2 small Canard foreplanes helping afford excellent manoeuvrability at high angles of attack, as well as a combination of long range and very good in the French Air Force Rafale in the Cosford flying display, the previous occasion as part of our RAF 100 Air Show in 2018. So, great to have it back.
Hits on taxi.
As I say, running in from the left. Surfaces. Showing you all the angles of this single-seat Rafale C model. The French Air and Space Force also operates the 2-seat Rafale B to the French Air Force Experimental Test Unit were in 2004. Operations over Afghanistan began in 2007. and they've been much engaged in that theatre along with many others in the years that have followed. One of them the longest in French Air Force history, with 4 Rafales hitting 21 targets, and a mission from their base at Saint-Dizier in France to N'Djamena in Chad that lasted 9 hours and 35 minutes. Versatile platform performing close air support, air interdiction and ISR, intelligence, surveillance and reconnaissance missions. In the further new weaponry is being added in the latest set of upgrades to F3R standard, which became fully operational in March 2021. And next up is the F4 standard Rafale, which will bring about greater connectivity with other airborne platforms, the new Nika-NG air-to-air missile, the AASM Hammer precision-guided munition. Tutor became part of the Rafale force in 2012 with the famous Régiment de Chasse 230 Normandy-Niemen. And he's been on his current unit, the Escadron de Transformation Rafale. In towards us on the B-axis once more. With double rolls into a daring turn, rolling one direction, turning the other.
at the moment. You see a big negative G push off the top there. Some -3 to 4G, extremely uncomfortable. All the way around, inverted. The F-16, pretty high cloud base we have at the moment, coming back down, a couple of spiral turns. We saw the Rafale perform an amazing low-speed pass. Well, this is the F-16 low-speed pass. Again, watch for what we call high alpha, and those pointing relatively high. Aircraft slowing down to 140 or so knots.
one on the Tiger jet, reflecting the membership of the NATO Tiger Association by the squadron.
Rich Goodwin, getting airborne. Look closely, straight into a knife edge. Holding the aircraft very low.
think that the design for this aircraft actually dates back to the 1940s. For many decades it was the top performing aerobatic aircraft, won competitions around the world. Still, as you can see, a very sprightly performer, especially in the right hand. My word, definitely the right hand. Ex-RAF fast jet pilot, tornado mainly, including missions in the Gulf War.
Operation Desert Storm, 21 missions. Left the Air Force in 1993, and he loves aerobatic trauma.
He does, and he has obviously put his pit special through his two pit specials, because we've got his other one here in the static display, through a very extensive modification program. 8.5 litre Lycoming engine, 540 horsepower, and as you can see, he can hover like we used to say a Harrier, an F-35 we must say now. Very highly modified, as I say, removed the standard landing gear, modified engine mount to enable the installation of titanium sprung undercarriage legs. The cowling is totally redesigned. The rudder is very, very different from what you'd see on an ordinary pit. And perhaps most noticeably, these blade-like wings. It gives this aircraft absolutely fantastic as well. And this aircraft is registered JPIT, J-P-I-T, and the J stands for jet because in the future this is going to become his jet pits with the addition of a pair of small Lynx jet turbine engines. Now that really does take some thinking about. You've got a biplane with a propeller and 2 jet engines. That is going to be something to see. And also to hear, the performance will be absolutely something, as if this isn't good enough already. And Rich is now supported with the new sponsorship for 2022 by the Sadio Group, who are very interested in STEM, science, technology, education and maths. So they make a good partner for Rich. In fact, a Lycoming IO 540 engine. You can see that what it does so effectively during this display is mix together the sort of multiple rolls on the downline, building up speed, building up energy. It runs down the A-axis, ready to pull up. And this is what he calls his tower of power, a vertical ascent with multiple rolls on the way up, the speed gradually bleeding off. And there the aircraft nearly hanging on the propeller as it falls back down through its own smoke. A very, very long way down through its own smoke. Just thinking ahead, when the jet version of this comes out, total power available is going to be around about 1,700 pounds, but the aircraft only weighs about 1,500, so that tower of power, it will just keep going. Yes, it will just, gravity will not win. Once again showing us that absolutely penetrating vertical capability of this aeroplane, such as its power-to-weight ratio. A couple of turns of a spin on the way down. I think Rich is just a genius at those snap recoveries. Think the aircraft out of control and then he brings it to hit. Of course, this is all a very, very well-practiced routine over many seasons. He took up aerobatics, he sought the advice of members of the British Aerobatic Association. He competed in competition aerobatics for a number of seasons. That in itself a very different discipline to colour scheme on this new muscle biplane as he comes past once again on the knife edge, showing you the Sadio logo on the upper surface.